going to talk about what's right here in these Antarctica walls surrounding us, and then what's directly out here. What I see is multitude of dark alien races at the wall. Grays, I see mantis beings. They are running a major human trafficking ring there, brainwashing them and erasing their minds. I think as humankind, we don't realize how long we've been under this control. This series is about us stepping out of that, bringing more into awareness so that we could understand, not in a victimizing way, but in a way where we stand into our power and we start bridging more light. And most importantly, we start standing in who we are divinely. Stop doubting, stop mistrusting yourself, stop fearing yourself and your divine power, to stop making yourself look a lot smaller than you are. It's time for you to step into that star being that you are. The more that we assist you all to recognize this, the more that we're going to be able to release ourselves from what we're about to talk about. So NASA, we know that it's ran Rockefellers, the Illuminati, they're aware that this is a flat plane of existence in this moment in time. They are also, though, controlled by these outside aliens that are also at the walls of Antarctica through dark technologies that they can portal in through these technologies that humans are not even aware of. It's horrific, guys, the way these human beings that they have at that first ring are, and how they're transporting them like they're cattle. NASA cannot get out of the dome. The farthest it's traveled is to the dark side of the moon, and people are going to say that was hoax. Yeah, maybe the video was hoax, but eventually they figured out how to get on the dark side of the moon, where they have dome-like structures, and then they also have people who they are experimenting on, and they have been, and it's mostly children. They've been saying that they are taking people to Mars. If they cannot get out of the dome, how are they doing that? So the way that they do that is through their technology. So they are aware that the physical body is limited and cannot, say, leave this construct because of its third dimensional existence. Everything in existence exists within our brain. So since they're aware of that, and then they have this technology that connects to you neurologically, when they're putting on these helmets, that's transforming them through time and space, perhaps Saturn to Jupiter, other dimensions, other realms that they might have a base at, a dark hold at. That's how they export out the consciousness, and they can create clones and split the consciousness, fragment it, multiply it. Certain points in the brain, if they touch neurologically, boom, they're out into the universe. So they will use your consciousness to travel outside this construct where they're having their galactic wars. What we're talking about right now is these outer walls. What is happening, a lot of it is actually happening outside our walls and then on the dark side of the moon. The super space program that the UFO community talks about, they're just literally being taken to beyond the wall. They say they go through like a tunnel that supposedly time warps them. They're actually just going to the other side of the wall. The very first excavation, it was a race to get to the other side, because when you look at their astronaut spaceships, they go up, but then eventually they go sideways, don't they? And they go towards the ocean where no one can really see them anymore. Why are they going horizontal versus up? Because they know they can't crack the crystalline dome. So this whole time they've been exploring outside, and then they've been tricking and conning people into thinking that they're going to go populate or Mars or the moon or so on, because we know that there's people that supposedly are going and they're traveling right now, but they're literally just traveling outside the walls where we are, say, encased in. And you see how it's really the closest one? I can see these people here, and this is supposed to be like this human colony. Guys, and it is dark. Let's go little by little. So the people that they're human trafficking are out here outside this wall, and they've told them that Earth died and they're supposedly on Mars or somewhere else, and then they don't realize that we're still inside past the Antarctic walls. So they have like different human experiments. All those people that they took off, supposedly off planet, NASA is related to the alien community. They talk about super space program, the MK Ultra and all that, the MyLab experiments. What I'm seeing is that the UFO community thinks that they're taking them off planet, but they're actually just taking them on the other side and experimenting on them through the different facilities. But then They are, though, also taking them off planet, but only through the technology, through the consciousness. And this is where all the healing occurs, right? And this is what we talk about. My husband, we grew up in Chicago, him and I. I lived in a really bad neighborhood. There was gunshots going off. We couldn't open our windows. There was drugs and prostitutes right in front of my house. In the corners, everywhere I looked, it was there. Park, we would have to throw ourselves on the ground so that we wouldn't get shot at. So we lived with that example of gangbangers, gangsters. And he said, well, when we were young, right, we had the choice. Do we want to become gangbangers and gangsters and criminals like these people who are doing that with guns and so on? We decided, of course, not to. So say you did choose to do that. And he said, so if you choose to be a gangster and become a criminal and harm others like this, there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be something that will happen. It's a choice of what you make. I loved his example on how he explained that. People can expect to take something that's nano AI into their body and not have any kind of repercussions to it. Nothing that they will have to balance and heal. That's not how it works. With every action, there's a reaction. You chose an inverted choice. Now you need to karmically, energetically balance this out and understand. Come step out of your ego and your fear and start working on yourself. All can self-heal, like we've always said. So why I'm bringing this up in this broadcast is because that is what's going on. That's what they want to turn humanity into. But we're not allowing it because there's too much starseed energy on Earth. There are too many angels, too many benevolent beings, too many benevolent alien races that have incarnated into these bodies. And now they know that they can't control us and they are freaking out. And they don't want us to go past these Antarctic walls to realize that there are lands beyond these infinity lands, that there's another world in land where there's ancestors exists, where some of these people, some of these ascended masters, they left out of the dome space, where people live a lot longer. We live perhaps a fraction of what they live outside these domes. They live centuries, thousands of years. Someone's asking, is the 20 and back program real? This is part of the transhumanism agenda. That is real. But remember, it's happening through their bases, through the technologies, and then they're reversing them back and they're just putting the back into their bodies right when they were taken. And then some people, they don't even put back into the bodies. But again, it's part of that program that we talked about that's right outside the wall. Do you know that rover, they have it, I think, on Netflix, like where he's traveling supposedly Mars? This thing is traveling the outside lands human life can't reach, or they can't reach really, because they're so negative polarized. They'll be positive polarized. Has an inorganic consciousness that's merged into this rover thing. So some of these lands that they're exploring are telling us that they're Mars, but they're not. They're really just outside our Antarctic walls. So we talked about how the dinosaur bones that they claim are dinosaurs. They're not. They're dragon bones. So if you remember Lemuria, Mu, when we were crystalline, this land is still coexisting in a bifurcation of the two-door world that we've talked about in the prior videos, and we have a whole playlist under YouTube that you want to watch. This world was magical. They had giants and unicorns and these dragons. Because of that, you are going to see the skeletal bones remains, giant bones, dragon bones, these magical beings, these animals that went extinct. Real animals that had multiple tails or had multiple horns or look beautiful. If you want to know more about dragons, go watch playlists on Atlantean Mayan series. And we're going to land of Mu, land of Pangea, all of the history before we became the inverted that we are in now. The Matrix, completely different land and in another dimension. So again, they're going through the spaceships and their shuttles underground to the other side. Like it's all a hierarchy too. Like we got China, we have Russia, we have Ukraine, we have the Americas, and they're all fighting for who's going to go out and conquer more of these lands, just like they went and they conquered all the indigenous people and spread out through the islands of North America, South America, wherever they went, whether they were Spaniards or English. It's that same concept, trying to get to the other side to see what they can conquer and what further experiments they can then control humankind through.